Okay, good morning, everyone. Let's get right into the stock market technical analysis. Again, we're looking for profitable trade ideas, trade setups before the trade actually plays out. So again, we're going to use the charts to be our guide, and we have to manage our risk. That's important as well. So before I do, guys, if you guys could drop me a thumbs up. If you guys are here day in and day out watching my videos and finding value, hopefully you're catching profitable trades, or at least limiting the losses. Drop me a thumbs up. I do appreciate that. All right, triple Qs. So we broke down today. You can see, obviously, the negative divergence had been building on the hourly chart right here, going down. Okay, and so that was spike high, was a divergent high. I figured we were probably going to get some sort of a pullback. The key level of support that they were really holding was about this 284.70. Gapping down this morning, rounding right into it. That's resistance right now, okay? So whether we pop this slightly, there could be a little bit of a stop rate, but in general, that should be the zone of resistance. I'm looking for us to get rejected right around here and then probably head down to the next level of support, which is about it's this gap right here that I have. It's that gap that we gapped up on recently. 274-ish, okay, 274.50, somewhere right in there. So a pullback down to there. The buyers should be sitting right down there, I would think. And if they're not, then there is a potential uptrend line coming off of the most recent lows back in October. I've got it kind of marked out here. It's not a validated trend line yet because I only have 2 data points, 1, 2. But if you're going to get a strong pullback, you could come all the way down there. All right. For now, I'm not really counting on that. I'm really more looking for a pullback down to about 274.50, 274-ish, somewhere right in there. Let's look at the NASDAQ futures. There's the NASDAQ futures. So you can see same kind of look, really. I mean, these obviously, the Qs tracks the futures essentially. There's support, broke down. All right, and we rallied right up to resistance. So that is resistance. Obviously, there could be some kind of choppy stop rating price action at this level, but I suspect we get rejected in this area, okay? And then I would look for a move. There is this downtrend line right here on the NASDAQ futures. If I roll out, that's kind of the most recent downtrend starting back in August. And you can see we have lots of reactions there. So we could potentially have a pullback all the way down to backtest that trend line. Also, it looks like there's a little bit of a I got to move this up. Maybe right about here, 11,425-ish, somewhere right in there. Maybe an area, a little reaction there. So those are the 2 levels I'd be watching. But we could get that backtest right down here. Now, the buyers definitely should be in, sitting here. So that would be kind of a max drop. But again, as of right now, we're in resistance. I think we're heading lower. All right. Small caps. So small caps, the IWM just recently hit this level of support. It's right around 181. This was kind of an area I was talking about. So they'll probably try to hold it. Now, if it breaks, then yeah, we could go lower. Looking at the next level, 177.05 would likely be the next level of support. And then probably get a bounce there. Okay. So that's it. Right now we're sitting on support. We break below this 180. Oh, I don't know. Really below like today's lows. Start taking out today's lows. You're probably going to head down to 177-ish. FSLR. This one, this one just continues to kind of, grind around basically. Nothing's really technically changed. A couple things on this one. I'm looking at an hourly chart. We have this hourly uptrend line, and you can see today they basically opened it right there at support and the buyers stepped in. So that's it. The buyers are stepping in at that support line, and we're slightly above what maybe you could deem as potential resistance. I mean, it's not great resistance, but we could just probably move that up like that. Again, this high that we're making today continues to be a divergent high. So here's the hourly, negative divergence on the hourly, looking at the daily, rolling out on the daily. We've got, there it is, negative divergence on the daily. Okay, so in general, we just continue to diverge. So we're going up in price, but momentum continues to tell me that we're near the end of the rally. This is kind of this, they do this. They like to, You know, the market makers and stuff, as you're diverging, they'll continue to kind of pop it higher. You know, this is an area where big institutions likely are exiting on these little rallies up, selling their positions or taking short positions. Now, if we continue higher and burn through these divergences, then, I'll change my tune. But otherwise, each little pop is getting sold into, okay? You make a divergent high, you get sold into. So I think it's going to be no different from where we're at right now. I think we're going to get sold into. If you want to be conservative, you could wait for this hourly support line to get taken out. And that's one way to do it. Gold, here's gold bullion. If I go to the daily chart, starting to get a little bit of a pullback here. So starting to get a little bit of a dip. I'm looking for a little more downside, to be honest. Down here, 1725, I think is pretty good support. So I think that'll probably be my target. I don't think we're going to get down to the 1680 again. 1680 was a really key level. And if I roll out on the daily, you can see we had lots of tags of support. I've got it. All these little wicks I've drawn are tags of support on 1680. So we kind of chopped through it a little bit, but as we were chopping through it, big bullish divergence on the RSI and the PPO. If I can draw it, sometimes it's hard right there. And so I don't think we're getting back down there. If we get down there, great buying opportunity. I think the minimum pull, or probably the maximum pullback, is about 1725. So I'm looking for a little more downside in gold. That's gold bullion. Some of the miners maybe look at like they're decent, but we're seeing some of that pullback like that I was looking for. And I'm a buyer on dips right now in gold. I think maybe there's a little more downside, but I am a buyer on dips. AMD, I like this as an add-on short right here. AMD again, downward channel. All right, the top of the channel is basically right in here. Okay. And on AMD, we have, if I can clean this up a little bit, we've got this horizontal channel. This is like the thin zone. If I kind of clean it up, the marked in green right here is a thin zone. That's where we basically it just spiked right through. And I thought we would at least at a minimum get to the bottom of that thin zone. Sure enough, that's right down here. All right, 59. So we hit it, and then we rallied right up to the top of the thin zone. That should be resistance. You can see also, look at all these reactions, all right? These were support, lots of reactions, and they should now be resistance. So dual resistance right in this area. As I zoom in on the hourly, you can see we basically have gapped down back into the zone. They're rallying it up right back into resistance this morning. It's an objective area to add to a short position. So I did add a little bit right here and looking for some more downside. And then Qualcomm's basically the same look as AMD. Big zone of former support, about 120, 123. You can see this was all support. All these reactions through here, support. There's another one. Okay, so that should be resistance now. Major support should now be major resistance. There's one reaction and there's another. Now again, you have to give it a little room, all right? When you have a major level that everybody's watching, you're gonna have little whip through, kind of whips through it, and it's gonna pop through it and run stops, and that's just the games the market makers play and the algos. They know that's a key level, so to run it through that level, run a bunch of stops, it's just par for the course basically. So a little bit of room, but in general, we are at big resistance. You can see today we gapped down. Let me move down to the hourly. You can see we basically gapped down, running right back into resistance. All right, we have negative divergence on the hourly. Just started to show up yesterday, basically, but so that was a divergent high. So I'm looking for a pullback, probably down to this gap fill area right here, somewhere right in there. All right, is what I'd be looking for. A move down to this area, which is anywhere from about 111 down to about 110-ish. Somewhere right in there is where the kind of the short-term target is. On the daily, though, this one, if it really does want to just start making the next bear leg lower, then as I zoom out, you've got an uptrend line right here. You've got a really good target to look at. You've got this potential uptrend line right there on the daily, and you also have this gap. I know it's kind of messy, my chart, because I'm pointing it out, but there's a gap right there, big gap at about 94. So that's right down there. So I think if we are gonna get that next leg lower, that's a nice solid bear target. From where we're at, that is a move of about 23% to the downside. So I like that as a trade idea. Whether we get, whether we get a pullback and then maybe one more little leg up, I still think that will, ultimately we are heading down here. So determine your time frame that you're looking to trade, and that will really help with your potential targets. I do think ultimately we will be down here. Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's really all I got, guys. So if you're interested in learning this as a skill set, check out my stock market technical analysis group, and feel free to join up in the private member group if you haven't done so. Link in the description below for both of those. I'll catch you on the next one.